Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 478. And as far as season goes, we'll just call it like season 18, episode 1. This is the first one of our monthly updates. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Chin's up 18, huh? Party!
Yeah, right? So many seasons. But I know we're on like 18. So I missed you guys so much. I had to get a podcast under my belt.
I get a text this week. Hey, you want to do podcast?
Yeah. I was like, I'm jonesing.
Sure.
I gotta find out what's going on our planet. It's crazy. We'll get there.
Sarah was jonesing for y'all.
I was jonesing for y'all. So, got some big news. So over on YouTube, my podcast, the Changing Earth podcast, will go to my author Sarah F. Hathaway channel, the channel that's been there forever. Mm-hmm. But we're now going to have the Changing Earth series channel over on YouTube. It'll be just the remastered audio drama. And then I'm doing a series of videos on like behind the scenes of Changing Earth. So like one of those is going to happen a month. My first one was on the world. So I just walked through like the world of my whole series and that. So, right? So if you haven't read the whole thing, there's some spoilers, but I try to give you the heads up on when that happens, like significant things. But, yeah. So we've been putting a lot of that together. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to hit it up on YouTube and Rumble and just try and get some books sold so we can do some impressing and, have I guess I can leak a tiny bit. There might be an interested producer, so we just have to get sales numbers up and really make the series shine in the, as far as the monetary end of things go as well. So I still have some Changing Earth series. My old covers still for sale. Guys, you can get those for I think I have about $60 if you use the code Helene. So
how many?
For all 10.
The set?
Yeah. It's the cheapest ever. Ever.
Right.
I know. So I still have 4 sets of those left. They're almost gone. But yeah. So if you're interested, get them while you can. Don't forget to use the coupon code. I mean, they're still pretty inexpensive over there, but the coupon code makes it stupid cheap. So, that's the technical term too, by the way. Stupid cheap.
Stupid cheap, yeah.
Yep.
You learn that when you're talking to the agents?
Yep. Well, all of those were supposed to go at prepper camp,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to roll stock over, and I've just got those few that are hanging out. So that's why you get a great deal on them. I got my prepper camp camping reservations all done for 2025.
Guess where I was yesterday?
You were at Orchard Lake.
I was at the campground.
The campground.
Yeah.
They got so lucky.
It's gorgeous.
We're blessed. Blessed. What, 2
Amber
trees
Pooh had
down?
to go. She was all excited about running around the campground.
Oh, Amber Pooh. She's like, yeah, my second home, Orchard Lake, baby.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah, I haven't found a spot to use her lines that you gave me for the audio drama. Oh, in the end when I introduce Charlie and he's got the little dog?
Yeah, there you go.
Yup. I've got the lines for the little dog now.
She was bossing around some Irish setters or golden retriever. I don't know, one of those couple big dogs.
Uh-huh.
The campground dogs?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was bossing them around. She thought I had to explain to her that they own the place.
That is their property, technically. You are visiting today, Miss Amber Pooh.
Princess. What a princess.
Love it. So, prepper camp tickets are on sale. It'll be another great year. Every year's a great year, even when a hurricane hits. So.
Right.
hopefully we won't have any hurricanes this year, and we'll be able to just have some fun and teach some classes. That would be great. So speaking of North Carolina cleanup, looks like Trump might be making some actions over there as well. There's been some shakeups.
What a relief for my part of the world to actually
have somebody who
incoming
cares.
President. Less than a week.
Yeah.
He's been in office, and he flies out to see us on his way to Los Angeles.
Right.
And he brought attention back to us because there's still communities in this part of the world that are struggling.
Big time.
Heck, we had a forest fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Old Mill forest fire, 250 acres, and that was like an hour away from.
Right, just what you need.
Triangulated. It was like an hour away. So we were worried. I was starting to unload the pickup truck and made sure I had room to throw stuff in there.
Welcome to the wild world of wildfire evacuations.
Enough. So we had floods to deal with, and then the people up there in that town had to deal with floods and fire, because that was a heavy hit region with the floods too.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And now they have the fires coming right behind it.
Yeah.
Just insanity. Yeah. Well, I was, because I'm, obviously I work insurance in the state of California, and luckily none of the homes that I insure are down in the burn zone. I had some close, but we didn't lose any homes from our particular office, right? But being on the kind of the more business side, well, I'm on both, right? Because I represent the clients and I represent the business. I'm like the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
So, being able to see it, though, from the business point of view, there we're talking about permits, just permits to be able to clear the pad, taking like 18 months.
Huh? What do you mean?
Or just to be able to get permitted to begin the rebuild process, taking 18 months to get that done. Which is actually pretty speedy for California government, in reality. Yeah. Because there's been like people waiting for 2 years for permits to build a fence,
And that's just the paperwork to say, okay, you could do it.
Right.
That's nothing to do with lining up the work and the materials.
Exactly.
Because that's going to be the hard part. Next is getting the contractors and the materials.
One lady that was down there, she was in an interview. It was going to take her a year just to she got to see her house, which did not get burned down. Mm-hmm. But because they have the area shut down, was going to take her a year just to be able to get back into her house.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, what the cost is to insurance companies to pay for the loss of use for all of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
All the rent, because you'd have to take up the rent.
Yeah, because, we pay loss of use, which provides money for you for while you can't live in your home. So you're looking at, it does expand out into a 36-month duration for being able to use that coverage when it's a catastrophic situation, because everything already takes longer. Everybody wants lumber. Everybody wants the builders. Everybody wants everything, right?
I ran into that on my house. Coming out of COVID is when I started building this one. Yeah. And going to the local lumber yards trying to buy windows. Right. Windows were like 8 to 12 months out. Yeah. I had to drive to Atlanta and order them. I bought them from a guy that custom orders them from Germany, and I got them quicker coming from Germany overseas than I could get it from standard here in the States, like one of the name brand window companies.
Yeah, so this is the thing, when you're in the catastrophic setting, everybody starts going for those supplies. Yep. And so that naturally pushes that time frame out anyway. Now you put on top all the California just bureaucracy on top of that. So it was really, really promising to see Trump go down there and be like, hey, we've got all the federal stuff taken care of on our end. So everybody knows if there's any delays, it's entirely on your shoulders.
Yeah, we were talking the other day is Trump's really in his element with this one, because as far as dealing with issues and catastrophes, he was a builder, right? Right. But that's how he came up what his dad was, and then he was. So he understands making stuff happen out on a construction site. And this is basically just a big construction site. Yeah. So he really gets it.
Well, they had the second biggest reservoir in the state empty. I mean, you get like, they have the California Fair Plan, which covers your wildfire risk for many of the homes in the foothills and whatnot. It maxes out at like $3 million. But you get this huge discount if you have a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet. Well, what good is it if there's no water? You know.
Well, you still get the discount, right?
Yeah, you do. It's there. I don't know if it's going to work, but yeah. So that whole situation, you know, we could go into all kinds of cause and things that were magically lost because of those fires or building plans for afterwards. Did you know Bill Gates bought 3 Mile Island? The nuclear
power plant?
Yeah. He's reopening 3 Mile Island because they need the power for AI.
They're using it for AI?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, nuclear energy bad unless you're an elitist who can then open it back up for his company. And he's all got his fingers all in that, you know, 15-minute cities and that kind of thing. So hopefully they can just let it get rebuilt the way the property owners want that to happen rather than big business, you know. And it was encouraging to see Trump actually come in and make that stand. It's pretty cool.
And like, so I know like 3 people that actually went up there and got to meet him and talk with him. Uh-huh. And they're like, he is so personable. Like, just talking with him, like standing there in the, you know, in the line. Yeah, it's gotta be in line. But just talking they talked with these people like they were just normal people.
They're people.
Like the president, wasn't airs about him or anything. He wanted to hear what was going on. He asked them specifically, like, how was FEMA treating you, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, that was one of the biggest things that I heard that he was doing is like, let's get FEMA out of here and give the money to, you know, Samaritans people who are actually making the difference.
It wasn't one of those like shake hands and, you know, hug babies kind of tours.
Right.
He was out talking to people and seeing what was.
Get info so we can get things done for our people.
Did you see his wife?
Oh, and her outfit?
Oh, but yeah, she had the jet. She looked like she was ready to go out hiking and grab an axe and start cleaning up.
Right? Yeah.
She was awesome. Very classy lady.
She's a class. Yeah, she is a class act, especially.
Yeah, she doesn't walk around in, you know, heels like didn't fit in the scene.
Right. Yeah, that's true. She could have like come down the stilettos. That's like my we're gonna roast a pig story in the country, and I told all the city girls not to wear them heels, man. And here they come. I'm like, well, you're gonna have to sit inside all day now. Have fun with that. I don't have enough boots for everybody. I told you not to wear them. So I had an interesting question because I gave the prepper broadcasting community the heads up that we were going to do. Yeah, on Element.
You got to be on Element.
Gotta still be on Element. I know lots going on. Rumble, Twitter, all this stuff, all this fancies we got these days, but I'm still most loyal to everybody over on Element because they've been here with the long haul. So
PBN has an active group over there on Element, so it's good to watch.
Yep, I like to peruse through there. I don't comment on very much, but I do like to peruse through. So anyhow, KC brought up this really cool article about predicting earthquakes in advance by radio digital shortwaves stations, which kind of right up your alley there, buddy.
But, I had some thoughts about it.
Yeah. So the biggest relevance that I have to it is it's 100% right on. Ben Davison, it's not Suspicious Observers anymore. It's now Space Weather News. He changed the name of the channel. But he's got his earthquake playlist. And he was researching this kind of thing like 7 years ago. And it's 100% true. They're able to see, because of these changes in the ionosphere, when major earthquakes are about to go. They picked up the signs before the one in Turkey. That was the big one. And pretty much any of the major ones, they are picking up these changes within the ionosphere, which can be measured through radio frequencies. So I think it's a great idea, especially with what I'm going to bring to you. So if you're interested for more information on that process and kind of like the roots of where it began, he's not so much into it now, basically because he's like, yeah, we figured it out. We know how to depict or predict earthquakes. But his work is really fascinating on it. So, Casey, I would recommend you go over there and check that out, because they are actually getting to a point where we can pretty accurately depict or predict earthquakes and volcanic eruptions as well. So that's a pretty cool day for planet Earth and the human species on top of it when we can do that. The other guy that I really watched for earthquake forecasting and whatnot is Dutch Sense. And he's just not as active as he used to be because he's had a lot of negative attention from our government. Interesting, right? So, but he has theories about when the deep earthquakes hit and then the seismic waves that travel off of those, and he's pretty darn right on with his predictions for where earthquakes will travel to. So it would be kind of cool to hook up like the two fields of knowledge, where he could say, you know, where you think one's coming here, and then we can monitor it with the radio frequencies and see if we couldn't pick it up. So they're doing a lot of really, really fascinating stuff in that field right now, which is cool because earthquakes are pretty devastational and can just come out of the blue, you know. So I thought that was a great question. Thank you so much for asking it. I'm going to have to get Chin measuring out. You're in the wrong space, kind of, for earthquakes, so.
That's fine with me. Floods and fires is more than enough.
Right? South Carolina gets quite a few, though. Yeah. And there has been some activity up north, which is kind of alarming. But you are in a pretty good space when it comes to it, even if the New Madrid went. So, yeah, good pick. Good pick. We had some in Texas. But we're doing all that fracking, you know, so that it doesn't help. Well, on the home front, it's all about my chicken coop. I'm going big. I'm expanding more. I'm all in on my chickens. I've always raised chickens. I do it well. I'm trying to figure out a self-sustainable process between the chicken and the greenhouse. I really love Rick's concepts from his livestock books on, you know, being able to grow sprouts and whatnot, and then do the mealworms and see if I couldn't produce their feed and like have the chickens, you know, so that I never have to buy food out, which would be a perfect little sustainable food supply in a disaster scenario. Except chickens are allowed. You know, people are going to come for your chickens.
Yeah.
But if you could do it with ducks, maybe. But ducks just don't lay as reliably as chickens.
So good.
Yeah, they don't. They take like a few months off. Well, my chickens have been too, lazy little birds. So, I mean, it's been too cold or something. But, no, we're expanding that whole process, and I'm not going with any of the fancy, like, you know, move it around type things, but I will have, like, multiple outdoor
tractors.
Yeah, the chicken tractors.
Tractors.
We're just too urban for it. So.
Not enough space moving around.
Yeah. If I did, it would be, like, out in our front yard, you know? Like, so. But,
we have some around here driving around. You see, like, on them, you know, not. It's a major road, the road into town, and you look off to the side, there's a chicken tractor.
Nice.
Somebody's front yard.
Right? I've seen the whole warehouses. The whole warehouse moves now. Like, big. hoop house, and the whole thing moves like a little bit every day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's good to be the lead chicken.
Yeah, don't get
guy in the back. He never gets any fresh grass or
fair.
roads.
Fair. Yep. They're all lined up. Okay, here we
Come
go.
on, let me up front.
Here we go. So yeah, that's been the big homestead push. Because spring's around the corner. Especially here in Texas. We got to get things, all our seeds and stuff started now in February. Because it comes so early. And then gets too hot. And then we have season number 2. So it's really weird down here. So probably everybody in the Midwest is like, what are you talking about spring for already? It's so cold up here.
They're still looking at their seed catalogs.
I know. So, I'm sorry. I used to live up there too. I know how it is. But yeah, that's kind of my thought process. So, it's about springtime. Got to get plants in. Got to make sure we're ready for chicks. That kind of thing. So what are you up to?
Working on the house still. I don't think I'll ever stop working on that freaking house.
No, you won't. That's when you self-build.
Splitting firewood. What else? I was at Orchard Lake because I was teaching a class on radios and Meshtastic, so
yes,
doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've been bad. You're just gonna have to smack me around again next time you see me. I have no time.
Do a podcast. I thought I retired, but get a text. Can you do one?
I figured a monthly update would be nice. There's just so much that's happening on our planet. I was like, of course. I take a hiatus. And this 100-year storm rolls in. Europe got hit hard. Both the UK and Europe. Let's jump into it. We'll just start going down Changing Earth Lane.
Food storage and preservation are at the heart of self-reliance. Our sponsor, PackFresh USA, features Made in America products. I shop PackFreshUSA.com for Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers for my home food storage. But they do all kinds of products. Go to PackFreshUSA.com and check out their Prepper University and order their box set of Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. It's a 7 mil 100 pack of Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, labels, and even a food storage guide.
Dream. Survive. Thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
So, last we were on, we did earthquake numbers for the beginning of January. And, so I'm going back 4 weeks now. We had a 6.1 earthquake in the South Atlantic Ocean by the South Sandwich Island. Last podcast we did, right? 456 earthquakes. And remember, I know it's been a month, but 456 is a pretty serious number for one day. So we had thousands being evacuated in Ethiopia as a dormant volcano woke up. We had the East African Rift just going off in that area. It has quieted down now, but they are, scientists are predicting that in 1 million years it will be its own island because they're so convinced that everything takes 1 million years. So it's eyes on that area is all I'm saying. That is going to be something really, really interesting. That'll probably go a long way in our lifetime, I'm thinking. Big story is Australia this last month. I got to get on the horn with Ellen and be like, what the heck are you doing over there? Because during that 4 weeks ago, during that week, there was 3 earthquakes in New South Wales within 30 hours, 2.6 being the largest of them. So they're starting to rock and roll a little bit. And then we had this mega storm go and hit the UK. Manchester got absolutely just flooding nightmare. Winds were like crazy, and that's just one of the many that rolled in this past month. So then we're jumping to like the 9th. I'm not going to do every day because that would just be way too tedious. But 3 weeks ago from today, January 9th, 513 earthquakes in one day. I mean, 400's a lot. So we're up to 5 now. We did have a big coronal hole on the sun. That's something I didn't talk about. So during January, we had a big coronal hole. When the coronal holes come, they line up with the Earth. They cause earthquake activity. But we didn't have a lot of sunspots. They are starting to wake up now. We had like an M class this morning. That was a pretty good one that's not directed at us. But as far as like solar activity goes, it was all about the coronal holes. So it does kind of make sense that we see this really big uptick in earthquake activity. But I always have my eyes on it because, you know, what's my story about? What does God tell us is coming? The Great Quake. So 513 earthquakes, biggest 5.8 in El Salvador. During that week, there was a 7.1 in Tibet on the Tibetan-Nepal border. Over 100 people killed with the earthquake activity and the landslides that happened. So that was right on the China-India border there. So you can tinfoil hat that one up, but it is right on a fault line, you know. So there was a 3.7 off the California coast by San Francisco. So we've seen that activities. Because like I was saying even before we took the break, the Ring of Fire just going crazy. And none of the volcanoes on the west coast of the United States doing anything, but the Ring of Fire going insane. So when would it come around and actually affect us, right? So we're starting to see some of that. UK had more massive flooding. They've just been having these giant storms come through. And Mecca in Saudi Arabia got just pummeled with flooding. The roads looked like they were like a river. Like, why would you park your car in that river, right? So just a lot of abnormal rain for the desert. Melbourne, Australia, a half a month of rain in a half hour. They called it the summer soaking. I was like, oh, that's an understatement. And that's the week that the massive winter storm impacted the United States. So it was even cold in Texas. So pretty much wherever you were, except for the West Coast, was just frigidly cold. Kansas, massive traffic issues, accidents. There was just hundreds of accidents all across the United States. Several people killed from the just the traffic incidences. However, they were predicting, like the huge draw on the grid was going to cause massive power outages across the United States. And I'm sure that some areas did lose power momentarily, maybe for a couple days. But I didn't hear the news about, widespread outages like when we had the Texas Snowmageddon 4 years ago. So, all in all, I think we did pretty good through it. Did you ever get snow over there?
Yeah, we got 2, maybe 3 inches.
Okay. Because I know Garden Girl is west of me, and she got snow at her place. We never got any snow this year. It was just skipped right over us.
I mean, they were saying 10 inches, all this stuff, but we got
right?
a couple inches.
I think they overpredicted it a little bit. However, was it 2 weeks ago? I'm looking through it else. 2 weeks ago, southern United States got absolutely destroyed.
Oh, yeah, Phil.
Yeah, Phil got it bad.
Yeah.
It was snowing on the Gulf of America. Do you like that? It was snowing in the Gulf of America. And Florida got like 7 inches in Florida. So it's just crazy time. So I can't explain it, but I guess it happened like 100 years ago. So we're having, again, all of these things that are like, oh, the 100-year event, the 1,000-year event, every other week. That's why I had to come back on and do the show. I was like, I gotta tell everybody what's going on here. So I picked the 16th to check earthquake numbers. Still at 491. 5.1 in Vanuatu was the biggest hit. And Vanuatu usually takes deep impacts, so. Central Virginia, 3 small earthquakes. Biggest was a 2.8. 5.8 hit the Philippines. So we have that earthquake that was off coast of California in week 3. Week 2, we have 166 aftershocks in San Francisco. I'm just hoping that it's releasing enough pressure to keep this status quo. But I'm very... I found an article talking about the Long Valley Caldera again, right below Mammoth, the super volcano that nobody knows about. They keep trying to tell people about is there, and we just magically get those wildfires in that area. We just get a ton of earthquakes. 2,000 earthquakes in the last 3 years have happened around, and they're increasing at the Long Valley Caldera. So, I'm still got my eyes on that West Coast. It's just really, really confusing to me why we're not seeing the activity there. So either it's being released beforehand or it's building. Which I hope it's being released beforehand. I've got too many friends over there.
Yeah.
Right? Too many good people.
A little venting now and again instead of a big...
Right. Kaboom is money. Okay, so, Indonesia... Deadly flooding, landslides occurring down there. I don't think that the people in Indonesia ever get a break from the Changing Earth news from being mentioned. So prayers go down to everybody who live on that island. Storm Eowyn rips off a roof in Scotland, and Eowyn did some damage across Europe. That was just the beginning of it. We'll get into that in our current week. I'm going to try and say this word. Cyclone Dikeledi. That's what they called it. Dikeledi. Dikeledi. Impacts Mozambique. The coast of Africa, the west coast of Africa, has just been getting hit after hit after hit after hit with cyclones. And Madagascar is just always in the way. So Madagascar has been getting really, really messed up with the cyclones. It's kind of like the Caribbean islands take, the hurricanes that are coming in at the United States. Except sometimes these cyclones get stuck in between Madagascar and Africa and just bounce back and forth as they go south. So it's been really, really bad over there. They could definitely use some prayers. Cyclone Sean was, I believe, their first cyclone to come through this year. And it impacted Australia. 2 people, unfortunately, passed away in that event. Southern U.S. was impacted by the snowstorm. Western Australia, so you get the cyclone hitting. And you have a huge dust storm also in the Pilbara region. So like I say, Australia's just been in the news a ton too. Pecos, Texas, there was a massive dust storm there. They had a big pile-up accident because of the dust storm that rolled through. And then we're into the 23rd to the 31st. This is just last week. 532 earthquakes on the 23rd. 5.6 in the South Pacific Ocean, and Vanuatu was the biggest. So it's just been rocking and rolling. I mean, when I started looking at numbers, I was like, I gotta get a show out. You just don't find this stuff. And with the amount of downloading that Trump's been doing, just the whirlwind that he's brought in, I mean, the media is just not talking about any of this stuff. Like, there was a big earthquake over in Nepal. Did you hear about that at all?
Mm-mm.
Right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. But, way back when we heard about the one in Turkey because there wasn't as much up in the media deck, right? So when there's just too much going on, they just backburner all of this information that's going on. You just don't know how crazy it's getting on our planet. So there was a 3.8 earthquake off the coast of New England. The tremors were felt all the way from Boston to Maine. That's all the North American craton moving, which is problematic because we know about the New Madrid quake and what that would mean kind of to the heartland there. And if you don't, you should look it up. There was a 5.7 earthquake that hit Taiwan, and earthquakes were the aftershocks were just continuous after that. They didn't stop. And so, believe they have it this time, but it was really, really scary few days for them. 4.5 earthquake hit Falls City, Texas. That's West Texas. Sao Paulo, Brazil. They had 2 months worth of rain fall in 2 hours. Extreme flooding going on there. Last year in their weather cycle, they had a bunch of rain come in, massive amounts of flooding day after day after day. They were always on the Changing Earth News. So now they're back into it. And it's a big growing area. Big problems. Flooding in Hawaii due to a winter storm that came there. Flash flooding in Malibu, California. California, yes, needs the rain, but they don't need mudslides in those burn areas. That'll just delay things even worse. Western France was hit by Storm Herminia, and Western France got just completely flooded. I mean, just rain events on a scale we haven't seen. Like I say, everybody's like, oh, it's the 100 year, it's the 1,000 year. Well, we are definitely in whatever that time period is. We're setting some records. In Malaysia, like I was telling you about with the cyclones, so people's cars, their homes are destroyed. The crocodiles came in the floodwaters. It's floodwaters aren't bad enough. Now you got crocodiles. Yeah. That happens here in Texas. The alligators end up in weird places when it floods. So, Western Victoria in Australia, they're having some fast-moving wildfires. And Kilauea is going off. 120-foot lava in this ongoing eruption. So, really spectacular pictures coming out of Kilauea. That one erupts a lot, but it's definitely doing it again. So right now, today is February 2nd. Chin. 655 earthquakes 2.0 today.
Wait, you told me 400 was
a
big number.
Yeah.
400 was a big number.
Right. When I looked at it, I was just like, what? 655. Biggest 5.1 in Chile. And Dutch Sense was like, yeah, we're definitely expecting earthquake activity to uptick. There was a big, deep earthquake over in Syria where they don't usually get deep quakes. So the activity that could come off of that one is just going to be well worth watching and preparing for and being careful, especially if you're over in that area. Evacuations in northern Queensland as flooding conditions intensify. It's really getting very serious over there. So, they've already had one confirmed dead in that flooding event. So prayers go out to everybody being impacted there in northern Queensland. I know that's not where Ellen is, so she'll be like, oh, it's up there where all the rivers are, or whatever, So, prayers for everybody there. Okay. Our volcano numbers, here we go, drum roll, right? Volcano numbers. So, last time we did a show, sorry, I've been really, really sick. Last time we did a show, 99 volcanoes erupting on planet Earth. Okay? 38 were erupting actively. That is the same today. 38 erupting actively. There was 37 showing minor activity. Today there are 38 showing minor activity. And there's 24 showing unrest, which is the same as 2 weeks ago. So you can do the math. That is 100 volcanoes on our planet in some kind of active state right now. Cape Flegrei is still up there. Pele is still up there. Vesuvius is not up there. But, just insane. I'm still mind blown because like mid-20s used to be like, whoa. So yeah, that number is still pushing right now. That's why I say we gotta watch the West Coast. Earthquake overall, because this will be fun since we're doing like a monthly update. Earthquake in January, 17,538 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. We're going to have to watch that number because I've never really looked at it before because we always did the weekly show. And so there was 1 7-pointer, 6 6-points, 147 that were 5.0 or bigger. But I was looking at February, and just for the 2 days, it was already at like 1,000 some. So if you did 1,000 every day, that'd be 28,000. Or if you did like 600 every day. No, now I'm getting into harder math. That's why I use a calculator. But we would still be on track to be a much bigger number than that January total. So, going to be interesting little February here. As far as wildfires, preparedness level 1, we have 4 new large fires, 68,558 acres on fire, 3 contained. The Palisades fire is officially contained. Number 1 state reporting is California still. They have 1 fire, 23,448 acres burning, and they have 2 fires that are contained. The what's on fire now is this hill where not a lot of people live and stuff. So that's better news than a whole neighborhood. Number 2 state is Virginia reporting. So interesting that we had earthquakes and stuff there. Now we have wildfire there. Just, kind of interesting. 1 fire, 555 acres. 3 is Oklahoma. 1 fire, 523 acres. And then your North Carolina fire. You guys are at 120 acres. That was up on the report for today. So, they're probably rounding up on your news channel. 150 acres. But, yeah, when I saw the area it was in, I was like, really? Come on. Yeah, that's like, that's like poor JB up in Washington. She never gets a break. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. That's Changing Earth News. We got to stay vigilant. Like I say, there's so much going on right now that all of this information just kind of gets swept under the rug. If you guys have topics, anything you'd like me to look into, talk about for the next show, feel free to shoot me a message on even on Element. I'll go on and kind of peruse. But if you want to be sure to get a hold of me, jump over to ChangingEarthSeries.com. All my contact stuff, Chin's contact stuff is there. So if you want to ask him about his Mestastic stuff or his radios, any of that kind of stuff, his information is also over there. And we'll be happy to have topics for the show that we can look into for you. Please check out my new YouTube channel, Changing Earth Series. There's nothing up there right now. It is going to start as of tomorrow, so it'll start getting populated. And we just got a ton of new content and new fun stuff coming at you. So, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time. It's a good year. Go pick up that book series if you want them. Like, that price will never happen again, pretty much.
It's the 1,000 year.
Yeah, it's the 1,000 year storm. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, because it's basically at cost. I was like, I'm good to go. Oh, they were supposed to be gone last year. That's just how my brain thinks. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the little update, our monthly update, and I know I did. I don't want to miss an opportunity to hang out with Chin, that's for sure. Check out the new stuff coming, Changing Earth series. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.